Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome to Our Issues Birmingham. I am delighted to have my very dear friend and the mayor of the city of Birmingham, Randall Woodfin, as our guest today.
Tommy, good to see you, man.
You don't really need an introduction, but I think people know who you are.
It's all good. Listen, I'm always happy to see you. Happy to be on.
Thanks for coming back time and time again.
Yes,
because
sir.
you're like a walking history book in terms of what's going on with the city of Birmingham. Not only where you've been, what you inherited, and what you're trying to do with what you inherited.
Yes, sir.
So if you had to tell the audience what's on your mind right now in getting things moving in the right direction, which from an outsider's point of view appears to be doing, what would you say?
I would say from day one, 19 months later, neighborhood revitalization is still the number one priority. Where people live, on their block, on their street, in their neighborhood, addressing issues that have been neglected and ignored for almost up to 30 plus years. And then I would say probably a close second is just financial solvency and being my fiduciary duty as it relates to how we allocate tax dollars and the pension. And so what happened is
The pension for the city employees?
pension for our city employees that has been underfunded for many, many years. That I shared with someone recently that can has been kicked down the road so much that when I came into office, there is no more kicking it. It's something I have to address right away to make sure.
It was up against the curb.
Absolutely, but I have to make sure. I have to make sure our pension is solvent. I have to take care of our employees. If I don't take care of our employees, then our employees can't deliver everyday basic services for our residents. So in that regards, considering our current employees, considering our retirees, and considering any new employee we want to hire, we have to make sure that our pension is funded. And so that meant we had to make tough, hard decisions this fiscal year, setting priorities, because that money wasn't set in the budget last year, which means we had to make some tough choices and not doing some things this year we wanted to do. So this year has been all about aligning and setting priorities, making tough decisions, but making sure we invest in infrastructure, we invest in neighborhood revitalization, and we invest in our pension.
Some might say, as it relates to investing in our pension, that, and I'm just being devil's advocate because I'm a fan, as you know, that we're trying to take care of ourselves to the detriment of those other items.
Right.
How would you respond to somebody that's not a city employee who says, well, no wonder we have potholes. We're having to take all our money and stick it in a spot so that people that are working at the city will have retirement benefits?
Well, the pension is not only a financial obligation you have to meet, it's a contractual relationship with your employees when they sign up. It's also a moral obligation.
Yes.
We owe it. And I'm one of a 9-member board over the pension board. So not only my position as mayor, engaging and taking care of employees, but being over the pension system, we have to meet financial obligations. That doesn't matter the issue that's taking place. That is a financial priority and commitment, just like paving streets is a financial priority and commitment, just like tearing down dilapidation and houses beyond repair is a priority and commitment. You have to find a balance of meeting all of them.
Balance.
What I can tell you is, as much as the pension's been ignored, we've also ignored paving streets. We've also ignored repairing sidewalks. We've ignored this dilapidation. Not sure what happened in the past. Well, I kind of know what happened, but I know we were not strong enough to make tough decisions, because tough decisions sometimes are unpopular. And I am willing to make tough decisions, even if they're unpopular, if it's the right thing to do. And funding the pension, finding money to pave streets, these things that I would define as non-sexy, but you have to do, this is the years to start doing them.
Well, and this takes time.
It does. It's not something you can change overnight. I've been in office only 19 months at this point. It hasn't even been 2 years. And unfortunately, you can't snap your fingers like Thanos, which is probably a bad analogy, and just make it happen overnight. But you can put things in place and then examine how you're going around, how you're measuring your progress.
I think the word you used was balance. I, I think that's probably a good philosophy to have. It was suggested that doing what you're doing is like playing the game of whack-a-mole at Chuck E. Cheese. You put out one of the dolls and another one pops up over here.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that a fair analogy?
That's a very fair analogy. Things always pop up, and I take care of that, and then something pops up over here. I take care of that, and there's something else that pops up over here. And in that regards, the balance is this. We come into office with a vision, a clear vision. We come into office with the mission of building our community through servant leadership, investing in all 99 neighborhoods. We have a theme, and not just a theme, a strategy around putting people first. So every decision we make, how do we invest in and take care of the residents of the city? And we wrap that around some 5 core values of customer service, being efficient, being effective, doing it all through transparency and making sure we're accountable for our actions.
Are you getting cooperation from your fellow council members?
I am, for the most
And
part.
everybody's working together? Because there's been a lot of contention historically in that arena.
It is. Listen, what I tell people every day is that working with the council is about relationships and communications. And when you communicate and you're intentional about building a relationship, you can build trust with people. I don't expect a rubber stamp. I don't expect anything to always be 9-0. What I do expect is that we can talk things out, including our differences. And just because we have differences doesn't mean we have to dislike or hate each other, or fight each other, or disrespect each other. I tell people I grew up in a household, there were never less than 8 people. And so learning to work with people who are different from you, whose style is different from you, you learn to meet people where they are. And being an elected official, compromise is actually a good word. You can meet people in the middle. You can get some of what you want. You can't get all of what you want. You have to say no sometime, and if you can get the yes, then get the yes.
Hold that thought. We're going to talk more specifically in just a minute. I think compromise is when both parties go away from whatever you're working on feeling like they've been put upon just
Yes, sir.
ever so slightly. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Don't go away. We'll be right back with Mayor Woodfin. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham, talking with Mayor Randall Woodfin of the city of Birmingham. People wake up for a while almost every day and turn on the television set, and there's some violent act that's been committed, sometimes intentional crimes, sometimes not intentional crimes, just accidents, but young people are dying, old people are dying as a result. I've noted that you have put in place what you have referred to as conflict resolution
Right.
partners. Could you share with us a little bit about what that's about and how it's going to work?
A couple things. One, I have declared that gun violence in the city of Birmingham is a public health crisis.
As opposed to a criminal, you're treating it more from a public health standpoint than a crime issue.
I'm treating them as both.
They overlap.
They do.
Just like a drug court or a drug case.
That's correct.
Public health as well.
And I think it's important to note that we're realistic. We're not going to arrest our way out of crime. I can flood our streets with as many badges as possible. That's not going to prevent and stop every crime. So enforcement is only one tool within the toolbox of addressing and reducing crime. It's important that in conjunction with enforcement via our police, we support prevention and reentry efforts. In understanding prevention, it's important to note that a lot of times people don't understand they don't know how to solve their conflict at all ages, adults and children. But if we as a city can invest in more prevention efforts, instead of only reacting to and responding to crime, if we can actually prevent crime, we should invest in that. And one of the ways to invest is by supporting organizations that are already in the field, already doing the work of making sure they engage young people and teaching them conflict resolution skills, how to problem solve, how to communicate better, how to address these issues.
Well, recently you talked about budget. There's been some funding of a number of agencies that are already in the field.
Right.
So and I also know from talking to Danny Carr, our Jefferson County District Attorney, he's involved in that process as well.
Yes, sir.
On a personal level. How do you get that going? How do you get the young people to the people that you want to engage in that conflict resolution discussion?
That is the number one question. That is the question we ask these organizations we vetted. That is the question I ask myself at night. Many times, government has programs, government has ideas. We communicated it, and there have been in the past expectations people are supposed to come to us. But I have embraced the notion that I have no expectation that children who need our help are going to voluntarily reach out to us. We have to meet them where they are. And so one of the organizations for example, is Faith in Action, that we gave a significant amount of financial resources to, because they actually go out and meet families. They go out and meet people who are in trouble. They go out and meet young people where they are, in their neighborhood, on their street, at their door, engaging them in conflict resolution. And so the goal is to go directly to them.
Are you getting feedback on,
Um,
on whether or not they're having success,
So
or
we
people
have
are
just
listening?
Yes. So we've just started.
Yeah.
The beauty of these organizations we partner with, they've been in the field. They've been putting in the sweat equity. They've been doing this for several years now. They're not new. And so seeing the work they're doing, we seek to amplify, we seek to support, we seek to partner with, and hopefully with our additional resources, they can reach more people.
So back to what you said about prioritizing, that would be a priority, I would think,
Absolutely.
if not the most important one.
Listen, I wish we could find more resources, and we will continue to seek to find more resources. If we can invest wholesale and just think long term, teaching conflict resolution, let's be honest, not Birmingham's problem, but in America's problem is we promote violence, and then we wonder why some of our young people make the choices they make. That promoting of that violence is intentional. In my world, if I can't stop that intentionality around promoting violence, then I should meet it by intentionally promoting peace. One of the best ways to intentionally promote peace is to invest in conflict resolution.
I like that. In the criminal justice system, there's a concept called restorative justice.
Right.
I've been a proponent of restorative justice for 20 plus years, but we always want to go the retribution route, where we want to punish people. And the same thing is true with respect to what you're talking about in the streets. Those young people, as opposed to trying to work out their conflicts, they want to do harm to the individual that they're having the conflict with. And
Right.
somehow we've got to rethink and get everyone engaged to start rethinking, how do we go about solving this problem?
Just a balance. Balance. It's not all enforcement. It's not all punishment. If you think about prevention and investing in our young people, we can see some better returns.
Are we taking, no, I favorite, I know you got some issues that are probably, you said you had to make hard decisions, but just briefly, do we have money left over for the arts, for the ballet, for the botanical gardens? Lovely place, but could use some help.
Yeah. So
you're not going to forget about them.
No, the city of Birmingham has a full commitment to supporting the Museum of Art. We just broke ground on a new entrance of our zoo that the city was a financial partner and supporter in. We support our botanical gardens. We actually support the Alabama Symphony, the Alabama Ballet. We even support the McWayne Center because these organizations are city assets, but at the same time acknowledging a city that's not only 75% black, but where there's a lot of poverty. We realize a lot of our children, but for the city support, can't be exposed to or get to these locations and city assets I just named. So it's important for the city to support the arts.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
The whole city does. This is Our Issues Birmingham. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham, talking with Mayor Woodfin about a variety of things. Recently, there's been a lot reported in some of your blogs about what you've called food deserts.
That's right.
Terminology that I'd never even given any thought to, but apparently here in Birmingham, we have neighborhoods that don't have access to just a good old-fashioned grocery store. Right. So what are we doing to try to change that, and why do you think that's so important as opposed to having somebody drive a few miles, or is it a bigger problem than that?
It's a huge problem. I think it's important as it relates to when we talk about quality of life issues in the city of Birmingham. You have to address not just the problem, but how to solve it. A major problem in our city is access to healthy food. In our city limits, we're bombarded by, um, well, we have a lack of actually access to healthy food via grocery stores where healthy food is sold in proximity where people live. West side of town in zip codes like 35,
211.
211, 35208, 35228. We have food deserts in 35207, north side of town.
35215.
Definitely east, right?
Yes.
East, west, east, and north. And so what we've said is several things around economic development and setting economic development and as a priority. Embedded in that is making sure we find somebody willing to bring a grocery store to the west side of town, the east side of town. I will tell you that we have not been successful. In 19 months, 4 grocers have told us no. They told us no for many reasons, but we will continue to get to the negotiation table till we get to yes, because this is a priority for us.
What do you think holds them back? Are they afraid?
No,
are there financial incentives for them to do that?
Well, we have financial incentives. Just this year alone, we've set aside $500,000 for healthy food incentives. And so we're intentional about making sure the city supports it. But bottom line is for grocers, they want to make a profit. Let's acknowledge that. But let's also acknowledge in them wanting to make a profit, they look at issues like loss prevention. It's a fancy way of saying that theft is too high. They also look at potential litigation from false claims, slip and falls, that they say aren't necessarily true. All of these things, unfortunately, keep some people out of certain markets in our town. My response to that is we will get a healthy food by any means necessary on the west side of town and on the east side of town, because this is what our residents deserve. And we have to find a grocer that not only provides healthy food, but is really community focus driven and understanding that regardless of some issues around making your profit, there's a bigger picture here, making sure from a quality of life standpoint, we make investments in these black neighborhoods, we make investments in these poor neighborhoods, we make investments where our children need access to healthy food.
And that's what you're not getting thus far. So if there's anybody out there that wants to be considered for that, they should reach out. Who would they reach out?
We're reaching out.
Okay.
Look, people aren't going to necessarily voluntarily come to Birmingham. So it's important that I put on my economic development hat. It's important that I put on my cheerleader hat and not only go sell our city, but make sure we get to yes.
And that leads us to the Birmingham Promise.
Birmingham Promise is a very simple notion of investing in our youngest generation. Here's the short version, Tommy. Twofold. One, you live in the city limits of Birmingham and you finish one of Birmingham's 7 high schools, you can attend any in-state 2-year, 4-year public college or university free tuition, all 2 years or all 4 years. Second thing to that, and I'm more excited about it.
That can happen as we speak?
We're looking for that to happen starting for the 2020 graduates who will be starting school fall of 2020. In addition to that, we are saying that if you are a junior and senior in Birmingham City School, we want to offer apprenticeships where we engage different employer clusters around young people being exposed, receiving credit hours for leaving high school early, being exposed to a career they have a passion in, that employer paying half of their salary, City of Birmingham paying half of their salary.
Like the Home Builders Association, for example.
Yes, sir.
Put a hammer, teach a person carpentry.
Construction industries, you think of any industries, yes.
Yeah, I had Ona and Cleve on, Ona Watson and Cleve Eaton, Birmingham legends in the music world, and as you know, I keep up with that kind of stuff.
Yes, sir.
When they came up, they didn't really get a choice. They were handed a trumpet and said, you're going to play this. So that's not a bad option either, because Birmingham has really historically been quite a spot for the development of music.
I agree.
Culturally,
we have a lot of
over
artists.
The years.
We have a lot of young, great artists here that need exposure and attention.
Yeah. Well, In closing, is there anything you'd like to share with the audience before we say goodbye for today?
Yeah. So Birmingham's on the move, everybody. It's important that we remain vigilant and positive and upbeat and energetic about the direction of our city. It's time for all of us to come together to make sure we're all on the same page.
Randall, God bless you for being here.
Thanks, Tommy.
It's always good to see you.
Yes, sir.
This is Our Issues Birmingham. Thanks for being with us today, and we'll see you next week.